today. It's something I've been really excited about over the last certain months as we talked about it amongst our friends and hung up various posters and talked to local businesses, and glad everybody was able to come today. I want to talk a little bit about why I wrote this story. Because when I was writing, I had finished Marketable. It was pretty much in the bag, so to speak. And I was looking at writing my next story. And I started outlining it, and then there was a theater shooting in Colorado. And I'm listening to the news on that, and I was thinking, what if this wasn't just one instance of some lunatic going in and doing this? What if this was a series of events that was planned and orchestrated for the sole purpose of creating a terrorist acts in the United States? So that's when I started planning this story. And it grew into, well, I mean, I hope you read it, I hope you enjoy it. But one of the things, if you notice, the lead character's name is Chamberlain. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain is big, he's a personal hero of mine. He was a hero of Gettysburg. He was a 3-time governor of the state. He was a chancellor of Bowdoin College. He was an incredible man, really a brave, incredibly brave person. And Jack Chamberlain is his direct ancestor. So the lead character in the story has that same pride in his history. And Gettysburg is where the story begins. And Gettysburg is where Chamberlain made a name for himself at Little Round Top, and it was a big part of defining who he was. So I wanted to bring, in the beginning of this story, really bring Jack Chamberlain's heritage into the whole mix. So I'm going to read a short piece from the novel, and this is after the reenactment at Little Round Top. They're waiting on Big Round Top to go to Cemetery Ridge, which is where Picket's Charge was. This was the first year that I had portrayed my ancestor in Gettysburg. As we completed our march, and I now stood upon the rocky cliffs of Big Round Top, overlooking the fields of Gettysburg, I wondered if it was time to truly consider a new future. Below were places hallowed by the blood of thousands of American soldiers of both the Union Blue and the Confederate Gray. Places ingrained in American history, such as Little Round Top, the Peach Orchard, Devil's Den, and the place that the 20th man would head in the morning, Cemetery Ridge, and the focus of Pickett's Charge. I saw my immortality in these places. So he was reliving, in a lot of sense, his great-great-grandfather's heritage at Little Round Top. So the story is really about Americans versus Americans, much like the Civil War was. So it really ties into, what that whole time was. Because now in homegrown terrorism, you have an American citizen killing another American citizen to create a terrorist act. The head villain of this story, his name is George Thomas Jefferson. And like his ancestor, Jefferson was somebody who believed in revolution. He believed that revolution was a key to maintaining the United States, because that he believed that, from the tyranny of the kings, that tyranny needed to be fought and that it would automatically renew itself, and so would revolution. So Jefferson's thoughts in the book are, Americans need not only a reminder to come together as one nation, but a constant reminder. One tragedy would not convince Americans to band together, but a host of heart-wrenching stories and tragic events would. America needed to become a country always on guard, where not a city street or hamlet park would be safe to spend a lazy afternoon. A land where to gather as a crowd would be an invitation for a visit from the grimmest of reapers. So his thought process was, he needed to gather the country together under a different heading, under a heading of revolution. So his plans were to create these series of terrorist acts across the country. And during one part of this story, Jack Chamberlain's talking to his father, and this is what transpires. He says, "My father filled me in on some of the blanks, especially concerning the president's speeches I had missed. He urged everyone to stay at home, not to go to work, not to gather in crowds. He has asked all state governors to mobilize the National Guard units to patrol the streets to keep America safe. He also cautioned people not to brandish arms, as the tension in the cities is high and law enforcement does not want innocent people hurt." A reporter in Ardmore, Georgia, asked a man what he thought about the president's speech, who responded, "I don't expect the government to come protect my home and family. I've got that covered. I expect the government to find and kill the bastards responsible." So, in a way, he's getting what he wanted. Jefferson is creating this armed populace, kind of working towards the revolution that he's seeking in the country. One of the central characters in the story is a gal named Catherine Sheridan. My daughter Leah, back there, is on the cover, and that was a lot of fun. We shot that in Turner on this knoll with an MP5, and we all got to shoot that, and it was a good time. There's a video on the Facebook page, you can watch that. One of the things that there was in the reviews on Amazon, somebody wrote, "The character development of Kat in HomeGrown is very sensitive and believable, and even though her actions are hateful, as a reader, I was not able to truly hate her." And that was the intention when I wrote this, and I'm glad it resonated with people that way, because some of the things that she does in this book are heinous acts, but because of this backstory behind it, you don't, you feel for her in a lot of ways, and you have compassion for her. This is a passage from the story. It says, "Kat missed the fireworks as she ran with all the strength that remained. She headed around the building and towards a small line of hills 100 yards from the back of her prison. They appeared to be made of dust and brown grass, parched beyond what any rain would transform. She heard the sound of gunfire and saw the explosion of bullets riddle the ground around her, but she ran on. Desperate, she willed her legs to continue to move as she began to climb the rise in front of her. It was not steep, but she was weak, and it quickly slowed her down. The ground was covered in loose sand and gave way, and she lost her footing. No, her head screamed as she rolled on her back. She quickly brought the AK-47 up and aimed it down the hill. The desert heat created a wavering in her vision, and she was unsure of how many targets there were, but there were several, and they were almost upon her. So she had gone through her own trials in the past, and because of those trials, you had a lot of compassion to her, even though what she would do in the book were things that you might detest. I really enjoy writing. I started it as a hobby. I've written a lot of different short stories and poetry and all kinds of different things in my life. I wrote 3 Card Monty as a way to pass the time, to be honest with you. And I wrote Marketable to prove that I could really write. I could really write a book and make it, plan it out and do it. And HomeGrown, much to say. But one of the nice things about writing is bringing, especially in a series, is I get to bring characters from other books into the forefront. Another review from Amazon: "Love the matter-of-fact way the author lays out the story. The dialogue, the detail, Jack and Claire, these characters become people you know. Reading one book to another like they are chapters out of their lives." And they are a series. They can read each one as a standalone, but it is a series where you do get to know the characters, and you do get to care for them. Some of the characters from the earlier novels that make their way into HomeGrown is Francesca Rossi. She's a FBI agent. Her husband is Cliff, is a part of Homeland Security. Guy by the name of Chet Lansford, who's a Navy SEAL. And this is a passage where they're all kind of hanging out together, and Francesca is going to serve a warrant on his compound. Francesca and this is Jack talking, I didn't hear Claire and my name mentioned, I said. Manchester looked at me and smiled. I don't think I could get away without the two of you beside me to serve the warrant. Damn straight, volunteered Claire. Well, I'm glad that my team could come in and bail your ass out again, Jack, Chet says as he looked off in the distant mountains. Maybe when I retire for good, I can become your full-time bodyguard. I'm not ready to give that position up just yet, offered Claire. Then I'll just be yours then. If you're hanging out with this guy, you're going to need it. So basically during the course of the novel, there's a lot of banter between these characters, a lot of camaraderie. And but one of the things that, and Roy will say that all of these books are a love story. You know, I think they're not. They're a thriller, they're exciting, but she'll tell you different. So I wanted to just kind of tell you that in a lot of ways it is. Jack and Claire are people that are growing together. Their romance, their love for each other grows with each novel. Jack says to Claire in one part of the book, I love you differently than my family, Claire. It's not more or less, but it's so much different. My parents are who they are, and I've loved them my whole life. Tom was the closest thing I had to a brother, and he was always there for me. In you, I have found someone incredibly special, a gift to keep me balanced, to show me compassion and passion both in the same breath. Claire, I can't slip through your fingers, and I'm holding your hand for dear life. So his love for her has grown and grown in each passing day. Now, all of these books, Old Orchard Beach is a big part of it. Some more than others. In the HomeGrown Talk book, it's a big scene with Old Orchard Beach, and most of you didn't survive, so. But it's a lot of fun writing about Old Orchard Beach. It's a beautiful town, you know. We love to roll up the red carpet come July, and we love to roll it up come September 1st. And you know, I just moved back to town last April, and you know, I miss the ocean so much, and I'm so glad to be back. I look up at the Old Orchard Beach pier. The tide was low, so people were able to walk underneath the last pylons. Stood barely offshore. A throng of people passed to and fro on the pier itself as they visited the many shops, vendors of hot dogs, french fries, pizza, and ice cream. It reminded me how hungry I was, and I hope my parents were ready to head up and grab a quick bite. I'm not going to tell you what happens. You have to read it. I think one of the things that this story hopefully brings is an American heritage, American pride into it. And really we are, you know, one country of, you know, diverse in its people, diverse in its thoughts and diverse in its politics, but we're still one country, and we're the strongest country in the world, and I believe that I have great pride in this country, and so does my character. Jack says he's giving a speech on national television towards the very end, so I tried to cull out some of the stuff in here that would give some of the story away. We all must remember that we are Americans. We will not wait to act, but will rise on the occasion, as we have throughout our brief but tumultuous history. We will join together because we are American citizens. No matter if we are homegrown or foreign born, we will not let our freedom be taken from us without a fight. These events must become just another chapter in the American story, a chapter that concludes with how the spirit of those that live and breathe on this ground that our ancestors have fought for and died on lives on this day. We will show to the world that in each and every one of us lives a spirit of pride and justice, an American spirit. May God help us this day. And so I hope you take the opportunity and read these novels. I take great pride in writing them. I'm writing book number 4. It's a preview of book number 4 in the end of HomeGrown, and it's called Executive Princess, and God willing, it'll be out in for Christmas. Always nice to have a book for Christmas. So, and that concludes the presentation. Thank you all for coming.
I just want, from the library's point of view, to thank Jimmy for coming and sharing with us, and hopefully we'll see you for book 4.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. There's lots of drinks and food. Help yourself. Buy his book. Or check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good.